Several Western countries, including the US, UK and Germany, have decided to withhold funding to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinians. This after Israel accused 12 UNRWA employees of being involved in the October 7th attack. Philip Lazzarini, the head of the UN Relief and Works Agency, has expressed shock over the decision by the Western nations. He has asked representatives of the nations to reconsider this decision, terming the decision a stain on all parties involved and additional collective punishment on Gazans. Now, earlier, the UNRWA commissioner stated that Israeli authorities provided the humanitarian agency with intel on the alleged involvement of several employees during this attack, but no further information or evidence regarding their role was shared with the authorities. The nature of their involvement has also not been disclosed so far. The Australian Foreign Minister suspended funding to UNRWA on Saturday, conveying deep concern over these allegations. Now, Canada's International Development Minister also announced a temporary pause on any additional funding to the agency pending an investigation. The Italian Foreign Minister also took to social media platform X to announce suspension of aid to the humanitarian agency. Now, earlier on Friday, the White House also welcomed calls for investigations against the agency. In contrast, spokesperson for Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas criticized the decision by some countries to withhold funding for the body on Saturday.
This step, simultaneously taken during the war in Gaza, sends a wrong message. There is a war against the Palestinian people. This decision is incorrect and should be stopped immediately. We urge all these countries to repay the UNRWA because it's a humanitarian issue.
The UNRWA was established in 1949 following the First Arab-Israeli War, and it provides services like schooling, primary health care and humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza, the West Bank, Jordan, Syria and Lebanon. Now, relations between UNRWA with Israel have deteriorated in the last few days, and when the UN agency claimed that tank shelling hit a shelter for displaced people in Gaza's main southern city of Khan Yunis. American negotiators have drafted a new agreement that may finally temper down the crisis in Gaza. And this new agreement sets to accommodate both Israel and Hamas's terms, including the release of hostages, along with a pause in fighting for up to 2 months. As reported by a top American media publication, the report posits an initial 30-day halt in the fighting for first phase, which will allow the release of female, elderly, underage and wounded hostages that are held by Hamas. And the second phase will attempt to wind down military operations from both sides, and over this course of another 30 days. Now, Washington's draft will be present at a summit in Paris today. In attendance will be representatives of Israel, Qatar, Egypt and the US. Now, CIA Director Bill Burns is also expected to debrief his Mossad counterpart and the Egypt intelligence chief, along with Qatari Prime Minister. Also scheduled to meet today in an emergency session in Cairo are members of the Arab League along with Palestinian representatives, and the League will deliberate on the ICJ's verdict in the case of genocide allegations against Israel. The ICJ has demanded that Israel to try to contain a death and damage in its military offensive on the tiny coastal enclave, with an emphasis on measures to ensure no incitement of genocide or action that take place against the people of Gaza. And as stated by a permanent representative of the state of Palestine to the Arab League, the meeting has been requested by the Palestinian state in coordination with Morocco. Morocco currently serves as the president of the 160th session of the Arab League, and the League is expected to take a unified stand on the International Court's verdict. Now, global protests against the Israeli campaign in Gaza continue, and thousands of people have come out in droves on the streets of Madrid, Athens, Milan and Rome.
y caminan junto a las organizaciones palestinas.
And in the Yemen's capital city, tens of thousands took to streets in support of the Houthi strikes in Gaza and in solidarity with besieged Gazans. Calls that were chastising Western sanctions on senior Houthi officials, along with condemnation of airstrikes in northern Yemen, were also raised, and swaths of people were seen raising the Palestinian flags across the demonstrations. Meanwhile, in the American city of Auckland, protesters took to the streets condemning the Biden administration for supporting Israel in its deadly campaign in Gaza, and those in attendance chanted and held aloft signs decrying the war in the Middle East.